Today we are playing another segment of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Classroom Edition. Today is a special day. We are going to pick two of the volunteers in the crowd today to work on a summary and answer questions based on stories we had of Olata Equiano and the journey through Texas. So, who here would like to play? You two. Come on down.
My name's Gertrude.
And my name's Louisa.
Okay, well, today we have Gertrude and Louisa. So, are y'all ready to begin? Okay, so how the game is played is you read over the questions, you have your answers, and you buzz in to answer, and wait for me to acknowledge you, and then you may answer. And with the classroom edition, you, after every question, will be expected to tell why. So, first question. What was most likely Olata's reason for writing this narrative? A, you have to wait. A, to waste time. B, to let others know how bad the slave trade was. C, to have something to read to his children. Or D, to prove that the ship ride was enjoyable. Louisa.
I think it's B because he wanted to show everybody.
Okay, is that your final answer?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see if Good job. Now, next question. What role did enslaving Africans play in triangle trade? A, they built all the ships. B, they were businessmen. C, they were the central component because every other part of triangle trade depended on it. Or D, they played no role in triangle trade. Louisa.
That one's easy. That one's C because they're the central component, and without it, the triangular trade wouldn't work right.
Darn, this
Okay,
is not working.
Let's see if you're correct. Good job once again. Okay. You're going to have to catch up. On to question number 3. Whew. Okay. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay. What was the relationship between the whites and Olata? A, the whites held them captive and sold them against their will. B, they were best friends. C, they were both trained navigators. D, they were both sent by the king to search for gold. Gertrude.
That's easy. It's A because the whites held them captive like cattle and then sold them against the will like at an auction.
You're buzzing just like you. Let's see if you're correct. Good job. Now, let's go on. We're starting to catch up. Okay. If you have a book in the audience, you can open up to page 46, and the diagram, or what's the diagram depicted on page 46, precise about the number of slaves aboard the ship. A is no, because they didn't always carry the same amount of slaves. B, yes, because it says so. C, no, because there was no diagram on page 46. Or D, yes, because they carried the same amount of slaves.
It's A because precise means you get the same amount every time, and that probably wasn't the case when transporting the slaves.
Let's see if that's right.
Why? That was just luck.
Okay, on to question 5. Starting to catch up. How can you argue that Olata's narrative is also a diary? A, it states a bunch of facts. B, it's not biased. C, it's a history textbook. D, it contains all of his personal experiences and feelings. Louisa.
I think it's D because a diary is a book that contains all of your daily records and personal experiences.
Once again. Correct. Okay, we're moving along quite nicely. Keep it going. So why would Alada's narrative classify as a slave narrative? A, it includes his personal experiences in the slave trade. B, it talks about his relationship with his mother. C, it doesn't classify as a slave narrative. Or D, it includes many pages of pure facts. Gertrude.
Maybe it's B?
Are you sure?
No, never mind, it's A. What was I thinking?
Okay, let's see. Okay. Why did you decide to change your mind?
Because choice B could be a narrative, but it doesn't have anything to do with slavery, and isn't that what a slave narrative is about?
Wow, good analyzing. Okay, now on to the next question. Why is it crucial to archive Olada's narrative? A, it contains useless information. B, it cannot be classified as a historical document. C, it gives information to the horrors during the slave transportation. Or D, it has no educational value. Louisa.
I think it's C because he recorded his experiences, and today that holds a lot of historical value.
Correct. Well, Louisa's leading by 1 point. Can Gertrude catch up? We will see after this commercial break. Okay, today's top story for us is A Journey Through Texas, written by the primary source himself, Cabeza de Vaca, and as he journaled his experiences, he told about the journey itself, which if we look to this relevant map behind us, we will see he started around the coast right here, traveled up around by here, which is present-day Austin, and he went around it and down by San Antonio, and went up by the coast, going up all the way past Pecos, all the way out to the western corner of Texas, where he was traveling to Mexico City. Now, in that journey, he also tells about the diversity of the people and their actions, such as things as they asked Cabeza de Vaca himself to dance for the rain gods, to bring the rain, to give them food, or even from things such as cooking. They did not use pots or normal utensils. They took stones that were heated in a fire and put it in a gourd to warm the water, and did that repeatedly to boil it. Also, one of the greatest attributes Cabeza de Vaca noted in his journals was the fact that the natives' tolerance to their rivals was great. Even though they had many different outlooks on things, they took and helped out him no matter what. And that brings us to our thought of the universal theme. As the natives did, they gave as they would like to receive. And today, as we see through his journeys, they did just that, and they received help through his surgery. Now, that was brought to you by the secondary source, me, of course. And going through and reiterating the things that we went over, we talked about the summary of it. We gave his primary source, which is Cabeza de Vaca himself, his journal, what that meant, the relevance, tolerance, secondary source, universal theme, and that will be it. Now back to the show. And we are back live on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire Classroom Edition. Louisa is leading by 1 point over Gertrude. Let's begin. Question 8. Explain how the word journey is connoted in both Olada's and Cabeza de Vaca's narrative. A. Answer in your own words. B. Journey has the same meaning in both narratives. C. Journey is only applied in Cabeza de Vaca's narrative. D. Journey is only applied to Olada's narrative. So, I don't know. Let's look up in denotation of connotation. And connotation means taking the literal meaning of a word. And so there you have it. Now,
Buzz, well, in that case, it's A, answering your own words, and while Kabasa's journey was voluntary, it made him happy. Olada's journey made him feel sad and caused him pain and suffering, and made him was forced to leave his family.
well, let's see if you're correct. Yes, sir. Good job. Now we are tied. On to question 9.
Gertrude.
Sounds like you have some fans out there. Okay, question 9. What is one part of Olada's narrative that was objective? A, when he said he liked being separated from his family. B, when he said it smelled bad. C, when he said they arrived at the island of Barbados. Or D, then he said he enjoyed the boat ride. Louisa.
I think it's C, when he arrived at the island of Barbados, because the rest of the choices are opinionated and C isn't.
Good job.
Gosh, I hate you, Louisa. Oh my gosh.
Well, let's keep it calm. Okay, let's go on to the next question. Okay. Who was Olada intending to read the story? A, only his grandchildren. B, people who wanted to know the horrors of the slave trade. C, only the Native Americans. Or D, no one but himself. Louisa.
I think it's B, because his audience was just people who wanted to know, like, the horrors of the slave trade. He wanted to reach out to them.
C. Good job. Well, someone got it right again.
Stop pressing the button.
Okay, keep it calm. Just a game. Okay. So, next question. If everyone in the audience can turn to page 44 to see the picture. The question is, why is Olada's narrative a counterclaim on the painting on page 44? A, answer in your own words. B, the painting corresponds directly with Olada's description. C, the painting does not contradict anything in Olada's narrative. Or D, both B and C.
Buzz,
Gertrude.
I believe it is A, because while the painting on page 44 shows the captives have room to stand and they can breathe and they're not chained at all to the ship, Olada says that they were chained to the ship, they did not have any room, and there was no air to breathe. So that is contradicting the page on page 44.
Wow, you having a comeback. Let's see if you can continue this roll. On to question 12. How do you know Olada's narrative is written in logical order? A, it has dates and times. B, he said he was sold into slavery, captured, and then transported. C, it stated since the time of his birth. Or D, he said he was captured, transported, and then sold into slavery. Gertrude.
It's D because that's the only one in logical order, because obviously you would not be sold into slavery, captured, and then transported.
Let's see. Sure are on a roll. Now, this is very pressing. If she gets one more, it's all over. Question 14. Okay. Question 14. How do you think the captors viewed different races, especially Africans? A, they respected people who were different. B, they looked down upon them and didn't respect cultural diversity. C, they treated them with kindness and love. Or D, they embraced diversity and celebrated their differences. Louisa.
I think it's B, because the captors really embraced diversity.